Over the course of the 1980s, Volvo's production of estate cars doubles, and Volvo was to become, by far and away, the largest producer of estate cars in that decade. Part of that success is down to some brilliant positioning off of other car brands, which is not something that you see done often, and some brilliant ads like this one that execute that perfectly and really transform the way that people think about estate cars overall, but particularly how they think about Volvo estate cars. The campaign for the 740 Turbo Wagan stands out for a number of reasons. The first is how unexpected it is to see a Volvo, it's a pretty boxy estate car, next to a Lamborghini, one of the most exotic cars of the time, and it grabs your attention, it draws you in. The copy line supports it beautifully, and by positioning itself directly next to a Lamborghini with a trailer, it delivers the message perfectly. This is a car with a ton of boot space and luggage space that is also sexy and fast and something to lust after. Really a genius piece of creative message delivery. Now, when you compare this ad to other car ads of the time, it's like it's been dropped in from a totally different planet. And it ends up by taking tons of share away from competitors in the estate space and leaving Volvo as the clear market leader in that space. But it's also competitive with fast saloon cars of the time, and Volvo goes on to sell over 100,000 estate cars a year for the first time in 1986. Now, when you look across this creative campaign, the level of detail is absolutely wonderful. The colours match. If you look at the angles of the cars on each one of these ads, they're very slightly different. And what they help to do is to make the cars look as similar as possible. And it also looks as good as possible against each one of these cars. When you look at just a photo of the Volvo in isolation versus other cars, it does not look that sexy. You look at the way these ads and the angles that they've been utilised, it really does work fantastically well as a comparator, and in terms of that comparator positioning. The copy lines are engaging, they're witty, they're enticing. It's just a lovely creative idea, executed really nicely. And for me, the Lamborghini Countach version is just absolute perfection. And that it's not just you who's kind of thinking these thoughts of, I'm really liking this Volvo estate car. That it's everyone who's starting to think that. Everyone who's starting to think, this is a fast, exotic car. And that's creating that kind of acceptance of this as a driver's car, as not just something that carries a bunch of stuff from A to B, but something that's really worth driving. And so it doesn't just separate it from other estate cars. It puts it's an estate car in a category of one in terms of being a fast, exciting, interesting, exotic estate car. It's the only one like that. You might even go so far as to say it's the only practical supercar of the 1980s, which is kind of nuts because, again, it's a big boxy estate that actually is half as fast as a Lamborghini Countach. But anyway, that to me is incredibly powerful advertising, and it also shows what positioning off another brand can do. Now, I think in part because it's seen as slightly risky, it's without doubt the most underutilized way to position a product. But if you want a great example of it, there is no better example than these 1980s Volvo adverts.